Hey y'all, welcome to my kitchen.
I was born and raised in the South, in a city, and now I live in the Midwest on a farm, and I love it. Other things I love are Jesus, my family, and everything food. I'm so glad you decided to join me today.
Hey y'all, I am just enjoying this spring weather so much, and I'm so excited to plant my garden. My precious, beautiful Lillian is a garden aficionado, and she always does an amazing garden, and she's gonna help me this year. It's getting to be that time, and I'm just waiting for my sweet father-in-law, Roger, to run over my garden area with a disc. He says this will save me hours of hoeing, and I'm so thankful for the help. Rick is deep into planting right now, and it is going great. And today, y'all, the birds again were just giving a symphony of worship to God. It's incredible, this soil in Nebraska. It grows anything, and it's dark and rich. It's so great. This morning I was already pulling weeds outside. I love to pull weeds. I remember when I was growing up, sitting on the grass in our front yard and pulling weeds out of our grass with my sweet mama. Hi Mom, I love you. And my dad, though a doctor by trade, loved working in the yard. And I remember helping him lay zoysia grass. We laid sod, squares, and they were heavy and wet, and we'd throw them down and puzzle them together. Great memories with my sweet dad. Hi Dad, I love you. And speaking of family, I realized today that I have never done a show on a recipe I use all the time for my sweet granny, my mom's mom, who was Frances Jane, and they called her Jane, and then my mom is Jane Ann, and then I named my precious oldest Savannah Jane after those two amazing women. My sweet granny grew up in Fordyce, and she had a beautiful Southern accent her whole life, and she was brilliant. I can't wait to see her someday. But today we're gonna make one of her recipes that I use all the time, and I'm so excited to share with y'all. Today we're gonna make Granny's rolls. Let me show you what you'll need.
Butter, milk, flour, sugar, yeast, salt, baking powder, and baking soda.
Hey y'all, I am so excited to finally make Granny's rolls with y'all. They're so yummy and so good, and I make them all the time for every occasion. Whenever we have family celebrations or gatherings, I always make Granny's rolls. And they're awesome for freezing, and I can even make them ahead and freeze them and pull them out. They're wonderful. You start off with 2 cups of milk, and y'all know this is my Pyrex from Rick's and my wedding, so it's so special to me. The paint's coming off and it still works great. Then I'm going to add 1 stick of butter to it, and feel free to double this recipe. I do that a lot as well. So put your stick in there. Then I'm going to heat this in the microwave for 2 minutes. Okay, y'all, this is melted, and I'm going to put it in my little mixing bowl. This is part of my little mixer. It's definitely a party around here. Y'all, I've never had a KitchenAid mixer because I didn't want it sitting out on my counter, and I've always had a Bosch. I had one that was a little smaller when I first got married, and then I traded it in for the bigger one pretty soon afterward. So there are 2 cups of milk and our 1 stick of butter. Then you add to that 2.5 cups of flour. Here we go. And y'all, I used to use just regular flour for all my breads. Then I decided to try the King Arthur flour, and I thought, oh, it's probably just the same thing, but actually I think it does a better job. So I have both. I have King Arthur flour for my bread, my sourdough, my white bread I make for Rick every day. I don't make it every day. I mean, he eats it every day. And then my other flour for my other baked goods. My point is, you don't have to have special flour, but you can if you love. Then I add 1/2 cup of sugar to this. Then you add 1 tablespoon of yeast, and that's a package. And I keep my yeast in a Tupperware in the freezer because I think it just lasts longer. Then we add 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Here we go. All right. Then we add 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, here we go. I love to clean with baking soda, do y'all? Then just 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and I love my Himalayan pink salt, iodized. Okay. Now I've got to go get my Bosch base for my mixer. Now it's on the base. So I'll give it a little spin. There is a cover for this, but it's basically a dust cover. I'm gonna scrape down the sides a little bit. All right. Then you add another cup of flour and mix that a bit. Okay. Another mix. Then we add our last cup of flour. Mix that. Scrape it down a bit. Mix it. This smells so familiar and yummy. Butter and milk. It smells like Granny's rolls. Now I'm going to cover this and let it sit in the fridge for 2 hours. Into the fridge. Here it is. This dough looks beautiful. I had this in the fridge for 2 hours. You can have it in the fridge up to 10. Also, I was doing this show and I take the picture with my phone and I got a call from my sweet Rick, and he's been on the planter and he said things are going so well. He's planting the home place now, so it's so exciting. I love planting season. I'm gonna get my handy dandy little pink gloves. Love these things. As you can see, I put some flour on my riser, and now I'm gonna get my dough and put it out on here. Ooh, it's pretty dough. And you can roll this out. My handy dandy Star Wars rolling pin. May the 4th be with you. Ooh, or you can just stretch it out. I just get a small amount to work with. So you roll it out and you can use a cookie cutter or the top of a glass to make your circles. And you make a circle like this. I like to do it in the flour first and then press down. Okay. You take your circle, cut it in half, and do a little pinch in the middle like that. And then you put it on your parchment-lined baking sheet. Okay. There you go. I'm gonna make some more. Now I'm going to put this in a 400-degree oven for 8 minutes. Here they are, y'all. Oh, they smell so good. You tear off a piece, put a little butter on that, and pop it in your mouth, and it's a little taste of heaven, I promise. Woo! I can't wait to eat these. And I always think of my sweet granny, whom I can't wait to see in heaven one day. Thanks so much, y'all, for being with me today and making some Granny's rolls. Y'all have a great week. Don't forget to thank Jesus and enjoy. See you next time.